Welcome to Nirvana 101. Today we'll be discussing the miseducation of the Negro. I am Takira Knight, and I will be discussing Chapter 3.
Hello everyone, my name is Alexis Simmons, and I will be discussing Chapter 6.
Hello everybody, my name is Quinara Shaw,
And I'm Chanel Peterson.
and we'll be talking about Chapter 5.
Hello, I'm Lachelle James,
Antoine Hall.
and we'll be discussing Chapter 4.
Hello everyone, I'm Erin Freelane. I'll be talking about Chapter 3. We make up the group Nirvana, which stands for Liberation.
Hi everyone.
How you doing?
So how y'all feel about the miseducation of the Negro?
Great book.
So far, so good.
It's a book everybody needs to read.
I definitely agree.
So I like in Chapter 6, which the title of the chapter, which was The Educated Negro Leads the Masses, he pretty much said that the pillar of the community, the African American community, is the church. So, us growing up, we used to go to church for grandma or something like that. So, but in the chapter, he's saying that, the Negro minister has been trained to drift away from the masses, that he doesn't teach his own. So he's pretty much teaching what he's learned from the white person. Right? And another part is where the Negro is so used to being told what to do that we don't look towards another way to think about things, like anything. Also, another part is saying that he said that the white man will see somebody of his race struggling, and he'll go out of his way to help them. But as the Negro race, we'll look for ourselves, like we'll look out for ourselves first. Like we'll make sure I eat first before anybody else eat, and I just might help myself.
Why do you think that is?
Because we've been taught to look out for ourselves. We just haven't been taught to look out for anybody else. Just doggy.
Do you think it should change?
Yes, we should change. Like we should come together,
Help each other.
and we just can't look out for ourselves. We gotta be together. We
And
have
we will
to
be a better community.
come together as a race.
Yes, well, I have a quote from Chapter 5. When a Negro student works his way through college, by polishing shoes, he does not think of making a special study of the science underlying the production and distribution of leather and its products, that he may someday figure this in spare. So basically, I feel like black people, and we're some of the smartest, intelligent people in this world. But I feel like sometimes when we get to a certain place or position, like we get too comfortable. Like we get too content with our lives. And going back to this quote, I feel like by this student trying to make a living through college by polishing shoes, the quote is saying maybe like he should have thought about, like, well, since I'm polishing shoes, like maybe I can open up my own business. I can open up my own shoe line or my own polishing line. I feel like white people, I feel like blacks have the same opportunities as white people, but sometimes white people just go, a little higher. Like we got black people out here with PhDs, master's degrees. Like we have the same opportunities as white people, but we just gotta figure out, like, do we want to go that next level, or do we want to go that extra mile in life to get where we need to get in life.
What page was your quote on?
It's Chapter 5, page 31.
And going back to what he was saying, Chapter 5 is called The Failure to Learn to Make a Living. So I basically feel like white people look at African Americans as if once we start a business, we'll just stay there and not exceed our goals. Like we'll just stay where we started and just feel like that's all we need to do. And then that's why I feel like whites look at blacks as if we lack common sense, because it's like we're starting a business, but we're not taking that business further, like making it into something that can be like the biggest business. We're just like at a standstill. Like, okay, I made it this far, I'm just going to stop what I'm doing and just continue doing what I'm doing now and not making my business like something bigger than what it can be.
So you're saying we lack passion and I mean, we have passion, but we don't have like the knowledge for it.
Right.
Well, in chapter 4, it discusses the fact that African Americans sometimes go to college just for the degree rather than going for the education. There's nothing wrong with necessarily going for the degree, but it's the fact that that's the main focus is forget anything else. I'm just going there to get this degree, make money, and move myself out the hood or wherever your community is. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just the fact that you're not really giving back to the community. You're just kind of leaving it as it is. If African Americans start going to college more or less for the education aspect of it, then you can take that from what you learn and apply it back to wherever your home is and help the people who are struggling there and not necessarily forget about them in the dust.
I agree. And also in chapter 4, I seen something that Woodson said. He said Negro schools cannot go forward with such a low of inefficiency, and especially when the white presidents of these institutions are often less scholarly than Negroes who have to serve under them. And that stood out to me because, to me, he was basically saying that there are some educated Negroes who know more than the whites do. And I agree with him because there are some smart Negroes. And basically, there is some whites that are, like, knowledgeable in certain areas more than we are. But Negroes, we know more about where we came from, where we're trying to get to and build. And I think if someone of our own color is in charge, we'll be able to understand more or
They can connect more with the students.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you because in chapter 3, Woodson argues that in science, history, or literature, whites have been taught their culture contributes to American society, whether superior to those of blacks. I feel like Lachelle was saying, because they was mainly talking about in this chapter how they feel as though a white person in the classroom has more knowledge when teaching a student versus to a black person. And that's completely not true because I feel like it's all on what you know. Like, knowledge is power. Like, y'all agree? Like, it is. Like, it doesn't matter what color you are, like, black or white. Everybody, you know.
has the same chance.
Yeah. So basically, it was saying that if the result of this, the Negro means nothing to a white man because they already feel like we're miseducated and everything we know comes from them. So, yeah.
Well, I got from that chapter too, because it's called How We Drifted Away from the Truth. And it opens up asking, how then did the education of the Negro take such a trend? It talks about how after Civil War and the amendments, 13th, 14th, and 15th, and the Juneteenth happened, education became more of a transformation and a way to uplift our people rather than to develop them. So it was easy for them to put things in our books because we're all told to go to school, get an education, things that we don't even know about ourselves to be true because everybody believes that the first form of life for us is slavery, but that's not true. Just because it's here in America is true, but that's not where we derive from. And it became such a trend for everybody to just read things that they see in the books because, I mean, that's what everybody is that's telling us to do, but right is completely relative, and that's what it talks about in this chapter too. I found a quote that says, "The education of the Negroes, then, the most important thing in the uplift of the Negroes is almost entirely in the hands of those who have enslaved and now segregate them." And that's on page 22, and I feel like that just speaks volumes to what I was saying before.
before, because it's like the very thing that we use to try to empower ourselves, we can't even really empower ourselves because it's not true. And they're using it as a way to enslave us more and segregate us by class and use the inferiority complex to make it so that we really feel we are inferior.
Okay. So let's kind of switch things up. How do y'all feel that the situation that's going on campus right here today relates to the miseducation of the Negro?
Well, I mean, wasn't there somebody on TV that was basically miseducated? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it was a girl from the protest. She was talking to a reporter, I think it was from Channel 12 News, and she was basically telling them how she cannot even do her homework because the Wi-Fi, and that's why we broke, because of the Wi-Fi. But the Wi-Fi issue comes from the students using Netflix and Pandora, things that don't have to do with your education. So it's not that she couldn't do her homework, it's that the university is not trying to support things that aren't dealing with education. So it was an ignorant comment because she didn't know about it, but it's just another representation of how somebody can really just take hearsay and just run with it. And that's how the miseducation continues. Honestly, the cycle is going to keep going. So.
And it kind of looks bad on TV because, you know, like, people is watching this, and they kind of, like, it's bad enough we already go to Virginia State, and people always say negative things about Virginia State, so therefore, when you have one person that's on the TV that don't really know what they're talking about, it kind of, like, what? Like, what are y'all rallying for? Like, you have this young lady saying something totally different than what's going on, and I feel like it comes from us, because kind of like Dr. Z was saying, like, put it in the group chats, like, tell somebody about it, like, don't just
rather have someone
yeah,
go out here
put it
and
on
make it
social
seem like
networks.
we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It seems like whatever publicity this school gets now, it's like the media is looking for a way to tear us down. With the whole Marvell and Jawan and Eric, in the past few years, we've had a lot of bad press, so it seems like whenever they come to our school, it's not to really get our voices heard, is to further to tear down the morale of the school, honestly. So
We just gotta stand strong, guys. Like, we really do. It's really time for a change.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, we are Nirvana, and this is Nirvana 101.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.